Woo! There we have it. For me, that is the. I'm going to call it the sexiest intro we've had on eBuy Live to date. So I'm already ready for this stream. Welcome, ladies and gents. This is eBuy Live. Do not adjust your sets, even though we are joint. There's a few firsts today. Let's just get this out of the way first. There are a few firsts. Number one, we are in partnership with our brothers and sisters from AlphaSync, which is a momentous day. I'm really happy to be joining with AlphaSync today. And also, it's David's first day. Is that the right way? That way. David,
I think that's one way to put it, yeah.
That's one way of putting it. So there's a couple of firsts. Yeah, we're joined by AlphaSync. This stream is being brought to you with the power of AlphaSync, but also David as well, who's joining us on, I believe it's your first day, your first unofficial day, let's put it that way.
First unofficial day, yeah.
So welcome. And we'll talk about that in a short second. Today, it's all about getting, or why you should consider getting a gaming PC for university. Now, AlphaSync, for those of you who don't know, get in the know, because it's all about ultimate power and performance when it comes to gaming PCs. But today we are joined by one of the newest members, David, who is a brand and marketing manager, who's joining the team. And besides that, you've got another trait as well, David. I don't know if you know this.
Have I?
eBuy. We seem to have a fondness for people with beards. It's a regular occurrence, and I must say, if we had a beardometer, I reckon you'd be near the top. You'd be near the top on the beard level, on the beardomatic scale. So
I do try, yeah.
You're in good hands. Yeah, you can see it. You can't see because you can't get the full appreciation of it because of the. There we go. So everyone who's joining, I hope you're all well and keeping safe. Today, what we're going to be talking about is AlphaSync, but I suppose as a larger umbrella of conversation, we're going to talk about gaming PCs and why we think they're a great choice for people going to university. Now, we had a quick chat before, myself and David, around these aren't for everyone. This isn't for everyone. What we're talking about specifically are people who, I suppose, need power. People who need ultimate power. We're talking like designers, creatives, content creators, or anyone who does something like data science that really requires a lot of horsepower from your computer. We think it is the time you should go and get yourself a gaming PC to help you out with your studies. And we'll be talking about that today. For everyone who's watching, new or if you've been here before, welcome. And for yourself, David, I'll just go through a few bullet points around how they can get involved and take part in our prize draw. So we are live. We do encourage chat and conversation from you guys who are watching, whether you're live or watching us on replay. So get involved in chat. Let us know what you think. And hopefully we'll do our very best to answer your questions throughout today. Even if you're watching us on demand, we will go back into the comments and get involved with you guys because we do enjoy hearing what you've got to say. Now, there are a couple of things as well that we are giving away. One of them, can I do that? One of them's right here. There we go. It's right here in the studio with us. It's a fantastic giveaway, courtesy of AlphaSync and the guys over at Microsoft. We're giving away this actual device, which is sat next to me, with some other goodies as well, which is going to be Game Pass Ultimate for 3 months, along with an Xbox controller for all that gaming goodness. Now, you're obviously going to do a bit of gaming. We're not going to sit back and say that you're going to buy just a little bit. Just a little bit. So good luck. Now, the guys at eBuy are going to put that link into chat so you can take part in the giveaway. And it's just it's a giveaway from Gleam. So there's a few different ways. I think there's 9 ways you can enter. So get involved with that. Cool. So, David, welcome to the stream once again.
Thank you.
For the lovely people watching today who are wondering who you are, why you joined the team at AlphaSync and what you're planning on doing, I think we could do a little bit of an introduction. So, and obviously, we've introduced you as the brand and marketing manager. That's where you're going to work in that kind of area. I suppose what's led you to this point? Where have you come from before you joined the team or the guys at AlphaSync?
I've done a fair few things over my time. I was a teacher for quite some time. I ran my own company for quite some time, and the main underlying thing to all of that is I've been doing videography, content creation, photography, editing, all the stuff is sort of underneath all of that. But it's the main sort of technological side of things that's always been underneath all of that, because you need hardcore tech stuff to do any of that, basically editing, photography, any of that stuff, and mainly obviously gaming as well.
Obviously gaming as well, like that's a big thing. So how long have you been gaming for? Have you done that most of your life, or have you picked it up?
I'm going to give away how old I am now. A long time. I think like most of us, we remember the NES days and the SNES days, so a long time.
Yeah, I think it's one of them things. It never goes away, does it? The passion for gaming. Like I'm the same. I don't get as much time these days, I must admit, but it's one of them things. I think our kind of age group, I'm not going to give too much away, we kind of came out when big home computers and consoles started coming around. So it just sticks around with you, doesn't it, when you've had it as a child?
Yeah, times have changed. The prices of PCs back then and the performance, not even in the same class as what you can get hold of today.
Yeah, I know it has, and we were just chatting about that with the device we give it away. So, I suppose with AlphaSync specifically, what's your role there? I kind of give you some generic title, brand and marketing, but what are you going to be doing at AlphaSync, and why did you join this team?
It's nice to work with a quality company, and it's nice to work with a company that actually are enthusiastic as I am about actual sort of, excuse the word, hardcore sort of, gaming products, and using, the best sort of products you can get, and don't want to do that budget side of things and just want to go, mid, high, top tier and above, really. That's one of the main things. So I've been, got involved to help with the social media side of things, the content creation side of things, and start, getting some content ready for the company.
Yeah. And like you were saying earlier, things have changed, times have changed, and having people like yourself who are going to fly the flag, jump on some content and share, I suppose, the wealth of knowledge which you've got, and no doubt the rest of the team at AlphaSync have got, is so important. Like there's so many like nuggets of information that we often pull out on these live streams and in other formats as well. Do you know what I mean? I think it's really important. It's good to have you on board, mate. I'm glad you've joined, so welcome.
Thank you.
So with, I suppose with today's topic in line, like people getting a gaming PC for university, I wouldn't say that's a controversial subject, definitely for people who are going to uni, because they're like, can I convince everyone that I need one? But underneath all that, I personally think there's a big reason why you should be considering getting a gaming PC. What was it like for yourself? Because I know you've been to uni yourself and you did music. Like, what was it like for you, like going back a few years? Did you consider a gaming PC, or what was the industry like then?
Back then it was different to now, but you had no choice back then. It was Mac, that was it. You were doing, software that they use, and that was it. There was no sort of question about it. But since then, everything has changed. When I used to use, I used to use PCs before that, actually, for some audio stuff, and it used to be Firewire, and every day you turn the PC on and it wouldn't work, or then it would, and it would have a moment to itself. And I could sort of convert it to Mac really sort of happily, because everything just kind of worked. And I didn't use PCs for a long time. And then jump back sort of 5 years ago, I got hold of a PC because I needed to get hold of one for some stuff. And I plugged some peripherals in, and it worked. And it blew my mind. I wasn't used to this Windows 10 thing. I used to use Windows 7. And it's not like the plug and play is different now, a lot different, and the software that's available on PCs now, I'm not even going to, go back to the Mac stuff now. I'm a convert easy.
convert. Strong words, David.
Yeah,
But, you know,
I am.
experience. I suppose to jump in that conversation as well, I was the same. You know, I did design at university, and then it wasn't a choice. And one of the big things I often remember is having to book time in the Mac suite. So you have to book time to go and reserve time to do your work effectively. And I'm sure that's not changed. I mean, the computers might have changed or the OS or whatever, but I think this is one of the big things that I'm thinking of now. Like if especially with what's going on, you know, in and around the world today, COVID's still about. People are still in a position where they don't know what's going on. The thought of having to book some time to do my coursework, I just know what it's like. So if you're a university student thinking that's going to work, trust me, guys, it doesn't. You just don't want to book the time. You don't want to schedule work. You know what I mean?
I remember, you're bringing back horrific memories for me now, of people who would obviously save their work on, you know, these computers that are obviously in-house at the college and stuff, at the uni. Yeah. And it doesn't take a lot for it to get lost. You know, I'd rather keep my own stuff on my own gear, and then I'm happy.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, I had a halfway house. I had a decent laptop, which I used to do most of my work on. But then when it came to doing your finals and you're getting, you know, the programs start increasing, you know, you start on a bit of Photoshop and you end up finishing on some animation software or something like that. Like my laptop just couldn't hack it. So when I was in the hard part of university is always your third year, you know, your first 2 years, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't do a great deal. I kind of, you know, a lot of time in the student union, and I also spent a lot of time doing other things. But when it got into my third year, like that's when it got critical, you know, and there was queues of people trying to use these computers. Crammed, sweat, all stressing, trying to get the third year's assignments done, and that won't change. I guarantee that won't change because that's human nature, unfortunately, ladies and gents. But I think one of the things that we were talking about, and definitely what the stream's about, is a gaming PC, whether it's a laptop, but what we're talking about today is a desktop. That's going to give you the power you essentially need to do everything. And, you know, that's what we're going to discuss. So I suppose if you're a student, if you're a parent thinking about buying a device for your child or children, your son or your daughter, this is a real conversation. So don't just think it's about people trying to say they want a game as well, which you can do. It is about the horsepower that goes with it.
Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand at the end of the day. You know, gaming is high performance, and any of the software that, you know, we discuss, it requires, you know, serious power at the end of the day. And especially if you want to actually have a good time using those pieces of software. You know, we were talking about obviously the different sort of minimal settings that you can use and system requirements. You can use the minimal requirements, but it's not the best experience when using these pieces of software.
Yeah. Exactly. We've got a few comments in. So Johnny, Craig, welcome to the stream. Craig Roberts, welcome to the stream. So Johnny's saying, yeah, it depends what course you're doing. So that's exactly what we were saying earlier. You know, if you're doing media with anything kind of like rendering, you know, you need something with a GPU. You need something that's relatively powerful. If you're doing something simple, like we're not saying getting a gaming PC if you're doing like, I don't know, English language and
English lit. I was going to say English lit as well.
Yeah. Words.
Words, yeah.
You can try your best. Like if you just really want a gaming device and you've got the money, go and get one. You're going to be super quick, but it's not going to change much. But if you're doing something that requires it, that's what we're talking about. So yeah, good comment there. We also got Craig Roberts as well coming in, saying that he splashed the cash on a device because he got a handsome grant and loan at the time. He didn't really need the horsepower, but he could also game. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, if I was going to put it in sort of priority, I think music's probably down the bottom. You haven't got to buy a crazy system for music. But anything to do with like the media stuff and the engineering stuff, we go like that very, very quickly.
Yeah. We've also got a really good comment in from Will. It's a big comment, so I won't read the entire thing, but essentially he's weighing in on a few subjects there. I think the main thing, he's a university lecturer, so that's interesting to have you join us, Will, so welcome to the stream. Considering things like price is a big one. So he's talking about students with, not as much money. Is it an investment that they should make? Can they invest this amount of money in a device? I understand that as well. They might have to loan a device or maybe go into university. Makes a comment around laptops as well, thinking laptops might be a bit more versatile for students. So good comment.
I suppose it depends on the circumstance, doesn't it? When you're going for that kind of power in a laptop, it's not cheap. Is the simple answer to that, and it skyrockets very, 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 very quickly. And I tend to find with laptops, personally, let alone the dropping it capabilities of and coffee and orange juice and stuff. The main thing for me is parts can fail, and you're always going to make a compromise. That's the thing.
There's a lot of compromise to go on, and the fact you just said orange juice, I've still got shudders from my last laptop I had. It drank half a pint of orange juice, and it died a fatal death.
Well, that's the thing, because once it's done, that's it. There's no repairing. It's one board. Yeah. That's it. It's done. So from a desktop point of view, component failure is obviously it's a thing. It will happen. Hopefully not, but it could. You've only got to replace the one bit. Whereas, I go back to my MacBook, I had a component failure on it and they replaced the entire board. That is the laptop. That's the whole price. It's not cheap.
No, it's not. Well, we have got some tips that we're going to be sharing, and we've kind of waded into a few of them already. So, but we'll go through them one by one, because I think it's really important just to, I suppose, let the guys who are watching understand where we're coming from, and keep them comments coming in, guys. There's some really good stuff. One more comment I'm going to read out before we jump into our next bit from Richard on YouTube. Also, buy a chair. That's a really good point. Like, your chair is really important. Buy a chair that's for a desk, not a racing car. So that's a really good point. We've both got an extreme one. Each to their own.
Without going back to that age thing again, I tell you what, a good chair, you appreciate it.
You really do. Like, it's so important. Like, for anybody out there, whether you're a student or not, if you sat at a computer for longer than an hour, get yourself a chair, please, because you're gonna thank us eventually. Cool. So let's get on to our conversation topic around why specifically do we think, or what are the key advantages of having like a big desktop PC, powerful unit, which is really designed for gaming, for university? What would you say is your number one, David?
So for me, the main advantage is you're going to get that. Go back to compromise again. The machines can run harder. Yeah, they can run obviously cooler because of good cooling and stuff. And that sacrifice, that compromise we were talking about with the laptops, you're always going to end up with underclocking. Yeah, because they just get too hot. So you then go, well, I'll get a larger, beefier laptop then, so it's got better cooling. But the laptop's going to be 3 inches thick, and it's going to be expensive. And still, even then, the cooling isn't going to be great. When you go, well, I'll get a thinner laptop, it's going to overheat, it's going to underclock. So for me, I will always go with the desktop, hands down. Always will.
It's a really good point. I know we touched on that slightly earlier. Like the fans, you can see it there. Like there's fans all over this machine here. And we'll show you in a short second. We've got a few clips that will show the device, but you can see a fan at the back. It's got fans at the front, and all that is really going to help you, because when you're crunching your design in, and you will do, you will get to a point where you've got loads of programs open, you've got coursework left, right, and center. Them fans are going to not only keep your device cool, they're going to help keep you cool as well, because you get pretty hot and sweaty when things aren't working. I've got to admit.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been doing some rendering on with Adobe Premiere on a laptop, and it's a lightweight laptop as well. So I've got the main PC and my lightweight one. And what I found is when I'm running it for more than 3 minutes on a render, my clock speeds will drop from 3.7 to about 2.7. And the fans are going full hurricane mode, and that's it. There's no there's no option. That's it. You know, I can't unless I put it in an air-cooled room, you know, with an aircon. That's it. Whereas the PCs, they will pin at a higher clock speed and they will stay there.
And for anybody watching right now who's thinking, what's clock speed? What we're talking about? We have got a section just after this
That's coming up.
we're going to go through these individual nuggets. If I had my buzzer, which I usually have, I've not got it on me today, I'd be buzzing. What's that? But we're going to cover that in a short second. So anything to do with the GPU, CPU, RAM, all these important things we are going to cover. So stay tuned for that. Cool. So we talked about kind of compromise and I suppose specifically what these are built for, which is high performance, which is a good take. What's your next thing that you want to kind of highlight?
For me, you know, with the desktop side of things, it always feels like you've got a base. You always feel like you've got home as well. I don't want to keep, you know, comparing back to laptops and stuff, but people can still use laptops as bases. They can. They've got the peripherals on the side. You've got the USB sockets. You've got the HDMI sockets. But I can tell you from, again, personal experience with laptops, when you're in every single day, 2-3 times a day, HDMI ports, you know, USB ports, by about 3 to 6 months, it starts to get a bit wobbly. And then after that, you know what's coming, which is that it's not the USB ports that usually break, USB, it's the HDMI ports that usually break. And once that starts to happen, we're back to that same problem again. Yeah, where to get component level repair on a laptop, maybe after a year, you know, not going to be fun to try and do that, especially if it's discontinued. So with the desktop, again, you've got the durability side of things as well, which is if there's any component failure, that part will come out, next one will go in.
Yeah, and it happens, especially if you're using it, like you said, where you are putting it on a desk a lot and plugging stuff in and taking them out and going to uni. That wear, and they're not built for it. Do you know what I mean? They're not built
every
for
day.
that many. Yeah, everyday use. And Adam's agreeing as well on LinkedIn. I forgot about the LinkedIn fam. The LinkedIn fam are with us. So Adam made a good comment around he spent the first 2 years of uni going through various laptops, which didn't do what he needed them to do. Eventually, he was given an older PC by a friend in a case that was literally falling apart. But I'm sure that case still did stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing about them. The investment side, which I don't know if that's a point that you were going to say, David.
Yeah, the investment side of things is, you know, once you've got a case, you've got a case at the end of the day, let's be honest. But with component level sort of stuff like the motherboards, the GPUs, you know, you buy yourself a really nice PSU, yeah, you've got a really nice power supply. You've only got to buy it once. It will last a very, very long time. Yeah, and that brings us back to sort of, you know, I definitely go to the AlphaSync side of things with, you know, high level components, but that's one of the reasons that I enjoy working with, you know, or we'll do the AlphaSync stuff is because it's all high end. There's no, we're going to chuck in a 15 quid PSU, which is what happens with a lot of pre-builds. You know, I'm guilty of that. I bought I shan't tell anyone, but I will. I bought a pre-build, you know, off of a very, you know, well-known website. And the parts that all I paid attention to was the CPU and the GPU, and I ignored everything else because you just look at the price and you go, that's it. It's cool. You know, the rest of it doesn't matter. I was, you know, a bit naive back then. And yeah, £15 PSUs aren't the best of fun. So you've only got to buy a really good, you know, part, and it stays with you for a really long time. You know, and if you get a pre-build with really good parts, you're kind of covered.
That's it. And it's so important. I think the evolution over time. We mentioned it earlier. You know, you start a course with basics. You know, I got shown how to use Adobe Illustrator. I think was the first thing I got shown to do. How to like trace a vector, which is relatively simple from a computer standpoint, not taxing at all on the PC. But then when you fast forward to your second and third year, where then you might be exporting stuff, you might be doing a project end to end, like some animation might get thrown into there, or moving pictures, or, you know, like for yourself, exporting large audio files or video files. That's when you're going to see the horsepower kick in. And with something like this, it's just unlimited power. You can then take out something like a graphics card, maybe put in another bit of RAM, which will help give you another boost, and you're on your way there. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, go back to the laptops again. You've got very restricted sort of upgrade paths. You've got the RAM, you've got storage, depending on what sort of models you generally get. But that's kind of about it. there's not really much else you can really do. Whereas, again, there are laptops that do exist that you can upgrade. They do have sockets in them and stuff. But again, we're not talking £500 laptops here. We're talking $3,000 to $5,000 sort of laptops. It's a very, very big jump if you want a laptop that will give you the expandability that just PC would.
Yeah. And speaking about that, nice little segue there. If you want to win one of them laptops, we have another competition. We just can't stop giving stuff away here at eBuyer and AlphaSync. So we've got another giveaway, which I'm sure Becky at eBuyer will chuck that in the comments, which is in tandem with this campaign. So we did look at one of them specific laptops on the last stream. And if you want to win one of them, we're going to give you some chances to win that as well. So good luck, ladies and gents. But like you were saying there, David, it's a significant jump up in.
It's a very big jump. Yeah. If you want to get that sort of.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, if you want to get that kind of power, you've got to go a bit crazy with the checkbook, unfortunately.
You've got to commit. You've got to commit for that. Because one of them things, it's all about that compromise that people are saying in comments as well, like around laptops can do this, desktops can do this. The one thing you can't do with a desktop PC is put it on your back and start walking around. That's one thing you can't do.
But I've been to a few LAN parties, mate. Try me.
Like a Ghostbusters party, won't it? People just hopping around with these machines on the back. Maybe you can. All right, let's never say never. The general person's not going to do that. I just got that image in my mind. That's what I'm doing.
It's not a good idea, but you can.
It's not a great idea. No. Now, shout out for a great name. I am a fan of a great name, PogChamp. Now, that's a good name. That's a solid name. PogChamp has said the best thing about a PC by far for me is that you can upgrade parts over time. My old i5 didn't satisfy me. Bish, bash, bosh. I've got a Ryzen 7 2700, and now it's zooming fast. Love it. So yeah, that just goes in line with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now we've talked about this an awful lot. Now, guys, we have recapped a couple of times. If you want to win the device that we've been talking about, which is this one here, which is an AlphaSync gaming device, all you have to do is click the link in Gleam, which I've just put in there, and you can win it. Now, if we focus on AlphaSync and this device specifically, I know we've just spoke about a few things around the performance, the upgradability, as I tend to call it, a bit of a mouthful, and also the ability to kind of, it grows over time, doesn't it? And it grows with you. Like, let's talk about this device. And I think we've got a little video we can play as well along with it. So we'll bring that up. What is it about this specific device that we're giving away, in your opinion, David, would be good for someone who's, let's say, a content creator or a creative going to university?
The main thing to me, which is really important with this this machine, is you've got the RAM there. But the main thing to me is you've got the Core i5 10400, which is a 6-core hyper-threaded. That's where you're really going to see the massive impact. If you've got, a normal 4-core hyper-threaded machine or, a dual-core hyper-threaded machine, that's where the performance is going to be. You're going to get that snappiness from the high clock speeds. But the main thing is going to be those renders. And when you're using that kind of software that requires that CPU sort of load, things will get done. I've found it myself. Things will get done a lot faster. You don't have to walk off and make a roast dinner to sort of, come back and then your render's finished. It's more you can go and make half a cup of coffee and come back and it's finished. It's kind of that kind of different.
It really is. It really is. I mean, we were looking at some recommended specs, as they call them. Just as a word of warning, ladies and gents, never trust the recommended specs on a program. Like, it says you can run it. Like, there's some stats here which I've got, it's some of the more powerful softwares, like we've got Maya, we've got Cinema 4D, that kind of thing, even After Effects and Premiere Pro, which are relatively chunky bits of software. They're recommending things like 8 gig of RAM. Some are even saying you can push through on a low-end i5 processor or the equivalent to a Ryzen 3. What's your opinion on that there, David? Because I know you were talking about this earlier.
We were talking about minimum specs, weren't we? I think, like I said to you before, which is that you can run minimum specs. There's no harm in that. You know, if you've ever tried to run Windows on minimum specs, it's not a good time. And if you try and run any editing software or rendering software or engineering or whatever software you decide to use on the minimum specs, it'll work. But the second you get any complexity to a scene and edit layers on Photoshop, it's going to start to tank pretty quick.
Yeah, we did some stuff with a concept artist last week, and he was Adam, to name him. Adam was like kind of using a big Wacom tablet, a big drawing tablet, and the main thing for stuff like that is it will say it will run, but when you draw something, you'll have to wait a second for your line to like kind of come up on screen, and it's not the experience you want. So take recommended
specs like that.
with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of pre-rendering now in Adobe Premiere, a lot more than I used to, and I'm now finding that I need that. You know, I've hit this point in the sort of last 3 months myself personally. I need to upgrade because I'm hitting those problems now where I've got pre-render, right? Go make a cup of coffee, then, you know, come back in a minute, you know, because I'm only running 6 cores and they're already maxed out on temps as well. So yeah, once you get the 6-core stuff with the hyper threading and above, you're going to have a good time.
And with AlphaSync, I know we've mentioned a couple of bits around AlphaSync specifically use the highest quality components with kind of like branded components. They've also got a fantastic thing, which I think is perfect for students, which is a 3-year guarantee as standard. What else is there that you think is really important for the guys to know if they think about an AlphaSync PC?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't want to run off all the bullet points, and you know, but at the end of the day, to me, there's some ones that really do stand out. And the main one, like you said, is you've got the 3 years warranty on labour. You've got the 1 year warranty on the parts and stuff. You've got the 6 months 0% interest free, which is quite a tempting thing for students. You know, I'll be honest, I've been tempted by things like that before, and it especially with that grant money coming through. You've got obviously the creative quality control. The systems are tested. But the big one that I kind of pushed a minute ago, which is always going to be an important one to me, you know, compared to pricing, but you've also got, it's the branded stuff. It's the components. It's all high end. That's it. There's no compromise. There's no random SSD you've never heard of brand wise before, or a bronze power supply that is worrisome that you're running your nice 2080 Ti on. You know, it's going to always be high end.
Yeah, it's true. And just to talk about, we've got another comment in from Richard, so thanks for that. He's put, his recommendation is you take the recommended specs that the software developers say and you double it, and then he's put minimum.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's 8 gig of RAM, 16, you know, that's a prime example. You know, it's a really good way of looking at it. 6 cores, get 6 cores with hyper, or 8, you know.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Ladies and gents, we have just been discussing, I suppose, mine and David's thoughts on why people should consider getting a gaming PC for university. You're going to do something creative. It's this actual beautiful AlphaSync device, which we've got here, which we'll be giving away as part of this campaign. So if you want to take part, please just click the link, whether you're watching live or on replay. You can still get involved. So get involved if you want to. The other thing that I'm going to mention, which is completely off topic from what we've been discovering and talking about, is this. I got a control with this computer. You're going to get it as well. And just to show you what it does, you can kind of change, you can change the colors of it. So you can press these buttons here. You've got like different buttons underneath. Watch it now.
I'll be honest now. I wasn't really into RGB at all whatsoever. I thought, just bells and whistles. And then I got a PC case with a really nice RGB look, and I'm converted. They become aesthetic pieces now. They look fantastic.
There's all sorts of different colors you've got. There's all sorts of different settings. So if you want that ability, it's worth getting a beautiful case like this. I've just changed it to blue. So Yeah, get involved, get involved. I'm sure that is not the reason why you're going to get one, but it made me warm and fuzzy inside, the fact I could change the colour on it. But that's me. Now, let's move on, because I know we have been rabbiting on for some time. Let's talk about the internal components, which often people are confused about, because I know when I was buying a PC for university, I had no idea what these things meant. So I thought it'd just be just that we actually help our audience and people who are thinking about buying a new device about these internal components. So I think we've got a few, I suppose, graphical representations of these objects. And we're going to start off, first off, with the motherboard. In simple terms, David, what is a motherboard and why should people care about it?
It's where the business happens, isn't it? I think, if you want to summarize it nice and easy. This is where the RAM's held, the CPU. Obviously, it's where all your components and peripherals and extension sort of bits plug into. So it's the hub, if you will. It's the main king of your PC. And it's one of the things that I've learned the hard way. Do not buy a cheap one. Always buy a high mid-tier one, because the upgrade path is a lot smoother if you buy a good motherboard. You've got other things. You've got loads of other factors. You've got power delivery, things like that. But always look into the CPU socket when you're looking into motherboards, yeah, and what they later on down the line can support. Yeah, Ryzen have just done that with some of their AMD ones. They've added obviously third-gen support, for their different boards, and they nearly didn't do it. And they were almost, a few people weren't happy, and they changed it. And it's the upgrade path is always in that socket.
Yeah, that's it. And you can't replace this part. Am I right in saying that, or it's a very difficult part to replace?
In the sense of fitting it yourself, is it difficult? Well, for someone that's done it before, probably not. But it's a difficult. Lots of problems can come with it. So if you're going to completely change your CPU, you will have to change your motherboard. Yeah, obviously, if you're on the same socket, it's okay. But if you're looking for a complete upgrade, so you want to change from an Intel to an AMD, the motherboard will have to change whether you like it or not, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it's a big component to get right.
Yeah. You pick
Asus
the right one at the start.
So this is an Asus Prime motherboard. It sounds to me very powerful. I think Optimus Prime. Is that deliberate?
Yeah, really good chipsets on this one. You've obviously got the dual socket as well there for the RAM. You've obviously got the PCI Express sockets, and you've also got, I think, just quickly looking at it myself, you've got 2 expansion sockets as well. So if you want to add in, RGB controllers, because I know that you really like RGB, as you've just demonstrated. You've obviously got stuff like, USB expansion ports, and you've got lots of things you can do. Capture cards, obviously, for we haven't even spoken about streaming yet for students either.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's go on to our next one. Let's bring it up. So this time we're talking about RAM. What does RAM do?
RAM's where everything's held. Going back to our minimum specs thing, really sort of touching on that. 8 gig was the standard for a long time. It really, really was. And as you can see, this PC comes with 16. 16 is the new standard. 16, you can have all your Chrome tabs open, you can have your Spotify open, you can have your Twitch stuff running, you can have all this stuff running, and you'll be okay. You can run some software at the same time as well. You can even be gaming at the same time. That'll be okay. The second that you want to get into that, content creation, multiple scenes, layers, things like that on Adobe's software, you want to be looking at that 32.
Yeah, it's good advice. And one thing that often sticks with me is more RAM is never a bad thing. And that's usually the rule of thumb that we go on. David,
speed as well. Speed as well, obviously. Yeah. The faster, the better.
Yeah, good stuff. Next one. So let's bring up our next component. We're going to be talking about this, which, to be fair, I suppose the graphics cards, this is what this is, or referred to as a GPU. It's often the more sexy purchase that people make within a PC.
It is.
I see it. It is.
It looks like the beast of your machine, doesn't it? With the triple fans and the dual fans. They look very appealing visually.
It is, and if you ever compare it to souping up your car, this is the bit where people had put something crazy inside the hood, which will show off that the fans and the air.
It's the supercharger bolted to your V8. That's what this is. Yeah,
it really is. So for the guys watching, GPU or your graphics card, as it's known as well, what is all this about? Why do people need one of these?
So you can either obviously the CPUs, AMD, both Intel support integrated graphics, so you don't have to have obviously a dedicated GPU. But for the conversations that we've been having about any of the software that we've discussed, I would highly, highly, highly advise having a dedicated GPU. This is going to obviously make your editing a lot easier. It's going to help with your rendering. It's obviously going to give you the support as well. Really simple things like on a motherboard, you're generally only going to have one, maybe two video outputs. Well, what if you want to run 3 or 4 monitors? That's where this kind of thing comes in as well. It's going to really help you. I don't want to touch on the gaming thing, too hard, because we're talking about university and stuff. But this is where your gaming performance is going to seriously come from as well.
Yeah, it is. I mean, trying to game without a graphics card is just a thing of the past. It's just not going to go.
It's going to be 20 frames per second without one, and it's not going
to work.
It's not going to be good.
It's not. And I think the thing is as well, like you said, when you look through the recommended recommended specs, a lot of them are saying you might not need a graphics card, but if you value any point of your time, like, you would get one, wouldn't you? Like, it's a time thing. If you want to get stuff done quickly, you get a graphics card.
Yeah, I would always advise people get one, even if it doesn't even have to be like a mega super top tier. It's always worth having one just to take that stress off that CPU.
A good comment here from Adam as well. So if the GPU is the supercharger bolted to your V8, would the RGB be the spoilers bolted to your Corsa?
I couldn't think you couldn't have nailed that any better if you tried. Yes.
A Corsa driver with a spoiler, you might be right. Probably more of a Nova driver if I was going to be one. But yeah, thank you for that. That's maybe
brilliant.
There's RGB cars out there, believe it or not. So yeah, moving on. So the final one, it's obviously probably one of the most important components, in my opinion, if you're buying a device. For yourself, David, what is a CPU and why is it important?
So obviously the CPU, I said, the motherboard's the king, but I think the CPU also holds that title at the end of the day. And you've obviously got, major competitors. You've got Intel and AMD. And over the past, I would say that for people jumping in now, in sort of this late in 2020, if they jumped in 2017, 2018, 4 cores hyper-threaded would have been pretty good. But times it's grown so much so fast in the last sort of 8 months. It really, really has. And you can get so many more cores now for your money, as well as the clock speeds as well. So the easy sort of way to really look at this is, the higher the gigahertz you're going to get, the more snappy your things are going to be, the obviously faster your rendering is going to be, and the more frames you're going to get when you're gaming as well. So that's one really, really big thing as well. But the cores are massive. So when you're doing hardcore rendering on Adobe products, or you're doing any of that stuff for the engineering side of things, any science-based work, the more cores, the better.
The more cores, the better. That's a good analogy. I think if I think back to when I was a student, this isn't something that I'd probably have on the top of my list of things to be doing. But when you have something like this, it allows you to do the things you want to be doing. So think about it like that.
Multitasking is a massive thing now. We've got one window open over here. We've got editing, rendering over here, Photoshop over here. And if you want to be able to do that, loads of RAM, really good GPU, and a really good CPU. And you'll be able to do pretty much anything you want to do.
Yeah, good advice. So I think that's everything that we're going to talk about with the myth busting section. So well done there, David. Hopefully that was a good help for people who are watching, because we know there's more components than that. But they are kind of the fundamental building blocks that you do need to consider. And I'll go back to your first comment there, the motherboard and the CPU. they're the ones that you won't tend to change that often. Do you know what I mean? It's a bigger job to change that. So invest in them, and the rest you can kind of upgrade as you go along, is the general advice. So there we go. We've got something else we want to talk about. And I suppose this is more in line with gaming. So if we just park productivity for one moment. Now, David and I were going to weigh into this, I suppose, but there's a couple of things that we thought would just land better with our friends over at Microsoft. So we were going to invite Sam over from the Xbox team onto the stream to talk about it, but he could not make it. I feel like I'm doing a BAFTA award or something like that. Sam couldn't be with us this evening, ladies and gents. So hopefully he's going to reach you through the power of video. So enjoy.
Sam, I'm the marketing lead for Xbox in the UK and Ireland. Sorry I couldn't be on the stream today, but hopefully, I've made it up by bringing some goods for you. We've got a giveaway today for Xbox Game Pass and a controller, which I'll talk a little bit more about shortly. But first, I just wanted to talk to you guys about Xbox Game Pass for PC specifically. It's a subscription service. You can get it on your laptop, on your desktop gaming PC. What it does is it gives you access to over 100 games in a PC library, great, amazing games from loads of different publishers, including Xbox Game Studios. I think in the library right now, and don't quote me on it, but I think it's about 199 games that you can play pretty much at any given moment. You don't stream them, you download the game fully, and you get access to the full game for the amount of time that your subscription is still happening. You also get a discount on DLC within the game. So let's say you're playing, one of the games in there is Forza Horizon 4, you can get the DLC for a certain percentage off, depending on what it is, etc. And if a game ever comes out of the library, you actually get a discount on buying that as well. I think it's about 20% or something like that. There's a ton of wicked games that have just been newly released from Xbox Game Studios that drop into the service on the first day that they come out. So for example, I think in 2 weeks' time, or the last 2 weeks, we've had Microsoft Flight Simulator, Battletoads, Tell Me Why, and even Wasteland 3. So these proper premium AAA games are coming to the service on the first day from our studios. We also have great third-party developers as well who are constantly adding games to the service. So you should absolutely make sure you check them out. Now there's giveaway for 3 months of Xbox Game Pass, so make sure you guys enter that as well. But if you're not lucky enough to win, you can get your first month for £1 or $1 if you're elsewhere, just on the website. If not, the beta for Xbox Game Pass for PC is still happening. So actually it's at a much cheaper price before it will go to the full price. So make sure you guys consider that too. Now, I did say that I also had another part to the giveaway. It's an Xbox controller, Xbox One controller. Now, lots of people might only assume that these things work just for the console. They don't actually, they work on PC as well. So this isn't the exact one you're gonna win, but you will get something that looks a lot like this. So you may, hopefully you've seen it in photos, etc. But an Xbox One wireless controller. And this has a lot of cool features to it as well that's useful for PC gaming. So you've got all the standard buttons and such that you would expect, but it's got Bluetooth built in. So if you've got a gaming PC or a gaming laptop or whatever that's got Bluetooth on the motherboard, you can actually hit this button at the top here and sync it directly. If not, you don't have that built in, you can connect with two other ways. One, old school via the mini USB here or the micro USB here, or you can actually get the wireless adapter that's included in the box. You plug the USB into your gaming desktop and basically away you go. So hopefully one of you guys, it goes to a very, very lucky home. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of a steer on what to expect from Xbox Game Pass for PC, but don't listen to me talk about it. Let's hopefully see some of the games. We're going to play a trailer now from some of the latest and greatest titles that have been added to the service and hopefully give you guys a little bit of a flavour of what to expect. But hope you guys have a wonderful day and I'll see you soon.
No ceiling, no crown, no pressure gonna hold me.
Woo! Drumming away there. And I was also playing with this little beauty. You can see it's in full RGB now. Full RGB, just for you, David, because I know you're a fan. Well, that was interesting. Thanks for that, Sam. And like you said, gives you guys access to over 100 games, 199 games, he said. Don't quote him on, which I just did. So apologies about that, Sam. But Xbox Game Pass, you were saying times have changed in the gaming community before. They have changed indeed, because stuff like that, once on a console, now on a PC as well.
It's the fact that you can get AAA on it, really, really, really high-end titles. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be, a little bit of a cluster of, some indie stuff and bits and bobs. And no, they're chucking the full whack stuff on there now. It's really, really good.
That's it. So we are giving you guys the chance to become leaders of the pack, and courtesy of AlphaSync and Microsoft. This is the device that you're in it to win it. So go and check that out. Yeah, there we go. We'll do the double point. Bam. Like a WWE outfit, when they used to. There we go. And it does work in all sorts of modes as well. I know we had a comment before. I forgot who it was from. I think it was Pog. You've got all these buttons. So I'm going to be sat here for the rest of the day pressing them. And I did just find out you have to point inside the case for it to do it. So you have to go like that, which I was struggling to do before. This is one of my favorites. So there you have it. That's really all we've got time for today. We have give you an extended version of eBuy Live in line with AlphaSync. Our brothers and sisters from AlphaSync joining up for the first time. So thank you for joining. And David, welcome to the family. It's your I'm going to say it's your official first day today, I'd say.
Thank you. It's been good chats. I could sit here quite happily talk for the next 3 hours about tech stuff. So,
that's it. I'm sure some of the guys in chat would probably enjoy that because they have stuck around. So thank you so much. Like we said earlier, even if you're watching this on replay or on VOD, as people call it, video on demand, do not despair, because myself, David, the rest of the team will be checking the comments over the next week or so to get back involved with you. So if you still have any questions and we're not live, get involved in the comments, because we will troll back through and get involved with you guys and girls who are involved. So thank you to everyone watching. Thank you to yourself, David, for joining us again. And we'll see you soon.